All right, so this is the entrepreneurship meetup, and really, this is just an opportunity for us to chat about if we have any entrepreneurial ventures, anything that we're working on, anything we want to practice. We've already spent, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks now looking at different techniques and kind of just talking about our ventures. But I know Sirach has some entrepreneurial things happening. Do you have any entrepreneurial things you'd like to share now, or are you just kind of here to check it out and listen more, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I do have my own venture going, and I have to say it's been interesting just integrating the human design stuff with everything else that's out there. So for me, it's a matter of feeling out what's right for me because it's really easy just to get stuck in that mental space, like, oh my God, I can't do this because my body graph's this way and all of that stuff. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm definitely not one of. I mean, I really think that what I learned in entrepreneurial ventures was really that most people are not willing to listen to the actual movement of life, and so they kind of start with like a very top heavy, top down approach of like, this is what I'm building, this is my vision, this is what I'm doing. And all the good entrepreneurs who have no idea that human design even exists, everything, all of their entrepreneurial techniques, whether it's customer development interviews and business model canvas, any of these things, they're all about getting in touch with the actual movement of life. What do people actually want? What are they using? What's vital for people? And so coming into human design, I just kind of saw, wow, human design is actually very much a similar thing. I thought it was so cool when Ross said that strategy and authority is literally there to align the mind with the movement of life. And that's like the perfect description for me of what we're trying to do in business. Because if you're not aligned with the movement of life, you're making something nobody wants, you have a service nobody cares about. So, yeah, I think we're on the same page there. And I'm definitely not the kind of person that's like, oh, you're a generator, don't initiate, or you're a manifestor, you have to do it this way. Or, it's to me, all of the strategy and authority, which is absolutely valid, is a way that just aligns us, regardless of type, with the same thing, which is the life force energy itself. So, yeah, well, so this is just kind of a chance for us to talk about our ventures, get to know each other. If we have any ideas or questions or things we want to share, I would love to hear a little bit about your venture if you're willing to share it. I mean, if it's something that's kind of ready for sharing or something you're working on.
yeah, totally. Sorry, I'm just gonna close my window here.
Yeah,
Always happens when you're on a call. That's when all the cars start honking and
yeah, that's
all
when the
the kids
sirens
start
start for sure.
screaming. Anyway, yeah, I am about 3 years into my experiment, which is kind of a magical time, just in that 7 year cycle. And so I've sampled pretty much every single voice in the human design space at this point, which I'm sure like all of us do, right? But really interesting to see everyone's design coming through in their delivery of the transmission. And I've been sort of tracking mainstream coverage of human design, how popular it's getting, and there seems to be this wave that we're riding, right? For whatever that's worth. It's just something that's on my mind. And so I'm pretty collective, and I was thinking, okay, like, is there a way? He's my venture right now, and like open throat, so just stop me if I'm going on here. But my venture right now is a it's a digital magazine, so it is human design digital magazine, and it is an actual magazine, right? Just with the visuals and the graphics. So completely different than if someone were to have a blog or just I think most magazines online nowadays are their text. So this is going to be it is something a little more visual, and we do have the capacity to incorporate video, audio into it. But it's really going to, my vision is for it to really highlight, the humans in human design and what they're offering, their, yeah, their interpretation of the material, and to have it in one space if someone new to design were to come in, like they could have this resource, again, magazine subscription, but it would be more accessible than what's available right now. Because for me coming in, it was, it was a lot, and not everyone has the inclination to do what I did and read and study from absolutely everyone. So yeah, I hope that's clear. That's my
Yeah,
vision,
yeah.
but of course it's gonna have to evolve, like as
No, I mean, I think there's a huge need, and I think you are recognizing like there are needs at every different level, not only of human design, but kind of how I like to think of it. There's this deep mystical comment that Ra makes, which is that when he's talking about a life, he says, "Well, a life ends at a certain place, not a certain time." And it's such an interesting thing because when you look at even throughout the life, people are at different places in their life, or people, in a band over at different places, and how we talk about that. And if you think about it, every business that you build is serving people at a certain place. So if you're a tow truck, you're serving them at the place where they're broken down on the side of the road. You know what I mean? If you're a PhD level course, you're serving them where they've already got their master's degree and they're already very high level and they're going into PhD, right? If you're serving people that are very new to human design, that's a place. And in fact, there's many places within that. When we looked at the business model canvas just a couple weeks ago, and we can look at that again maybe today and even do it for your business if you're up for it, is to look at your customer segment, which is such a businessy technical way of saying it's not really, it's not a very exciting way to put it, but your customer segment is really a kind of person at a certain place in their life. It's not just that person either. It's that person this year, not last year, not next year. There's a question that is very popular for investors, which is why this year, why not last year, and why not next year? And I think if it seems kind of easy to answer that, then you're really onto something. And at least in your case, I think you are onto something because it is easy to answer. Why not last year? Because human design hadn't really reached this crescendo yet where there was enough energy around it to support something like that. Why not next year? Because someone else is going to do it. They're going to get a head start. It's like it's very. I think people have tried to make magazines and have not really succeeded because it was just too early. The same way that VR was too early, or that different things were just too early to really get enough subscribers, to get enough people that are interested. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're interested, have you ever looked at a business model canvas before? Is that something you've played around with, or it's kind of a
business
businessy?
model canvas.
Yeah, I'm happy to
I
share it. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
I mean, it's just something
Let
that
me.
it's. I mean, it's kind of so this is human design and entrepreneurship, and so we're kind of like walking the line between how much human design and how much entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? Like this whole meeting is ultimately just to give us a chance to chat and get to know each other and hang out and kind of support each other. But at the same
Yeah,
time, it's kind of fun to like last week we did look more at the human design side of it. I mean, we might look at BG5 in the future, things like that, or just look at business partnerships and doing kind of business analysis from that perspective. At the same time, I also believe there's a lot of value in non-human design business development practices, because I mean, if we really take it literally that we're in this nine-centered era and that we're entering this new time, pretty much everything that's emerged recently carries something with it of the nine-centered way, the not the top-down hierarchical seven-centered older way. So I'm not somebody who believes that human design is the only source of information that can be helpful for people. I kind of think if we take it seriously, there's actually a tremendous amount of information out there that's helpful for all of us because it emerged in our current zeitgeist. So
yeah.
something like the business model canvas that was developed in the early 2000s. I know I was introduced to it by a entrepreneurship guy named Steve Blank, and I'm just going to go ahead and share
Mhm.
my screen here and just kind of show you what I'm talking about. So this is something that we've filled out, before here in these entrepreneurship sessions, and it's really a great way to visualize your business. I actually like putting it on a giant whiteboard and getting post-it notes and then drawing the boxes and the headers and then kind of moving the post-it notes around and things, because it really gets you this high level overview of your business, and it can kind of help remind you of what it is you're doing. And it can also help in the search phase, where it sounds to me like you're pretty much in the execution phase, where you've pretty much determined what you need to do, and you know, maybe at this point you're, but you might still be searching. You might still be searching for writers or designers, or you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how far along you are in terms of how much, and even beyond that, you might, the search phase is really what the real search for is the ultimate form factor of the service. So it sounds like you have a pretty good idea of it, but maybe something like the length of the magazine might be based on the how it goes in the first issue or the first couple issues. You might iterate on that, or you might iterate on other form factor aspects. How much audiovisual content versus how much designed content. Just a side note, also, I don't know if you've connected with Richard Beaumont, but he was the founder and main editor of Kindred Spirits magazine for decades. He's a human design guy that would definitely be worth it. He's been here on Signpost, and he doesn't really log in much, but he was interviewed and things like that, and he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
So.
definitely that occurred to me. Like it's in the human design blood, right? Almost because what
Oh
Ra
yeah,
was working in the media industry and Richard Beaumont had Kindred Spirit. So I haven't
yeah.
reached out to Richard yet, but I watch all his videos. So maybe this is
Yeah, that would be a good person to talk to. And also, she's pretty busy and hard to maybe get a hold of sometimes. But Amara Projansky, she also has a magazine with her husband, and it is
Can you
called Chronogram. Yeah, I can follow
look
up.
up her name?
Yeah, Amara, I can you know, I can follow up with her and see if she'd be available for chat. She comes to our HDHD events as well and things like that. Chronogram magazine. I'll just post this in the chat because that's just another, you know, perhaps somebody. And I'd be happy to just shoot her a message and say,
Yeah.
hey, I know someone who's doing a human design magazine. Could she do a little informational interview? I'm a big fan of the informational interviews. I think you can get so much out of them of just like talking to other
Yeah,
business
that's my
people.
jam.
And
Just
yeah,
saying.
same, mine too. And I'm not even a projector. I actually haven't seen your body graph at all. If you'd want to share that at some point, we could. But at the same time, like I look at somebody's body graph when it comes up. I don't look at it to be like, oh, let me now top down mentally determine the way you're supposed to do something. You know what I mean? I like to just get to know
Yeah, well, that's the
somebody.
trap that a lot of people fall
Yeah.
into, right? Is going top down, like, oh, you are a projector, therefore I have to interact with you in this way, when really
Yeah.
it's the other way around.
I've
If you're
never
moving,
done that in my
yeah.
life. I mean, that what if anything, that's how I lived before human design, and human design gave me this huge relief of like undefined head ajna. I don't have to know. Like I've kind of gotten a little lax about it, but I was so serious about my experiment that I remember I would have this overwhelming urge to know all these people's body graphs, and then I would just like let go of it, and that was kind of my therapy for just like, as an example, I worked with my boss for like 7 years before it randomly came up, and he told me his body graph, like his birth info. We were on a trip in London, and he's like, so I was looking you up on Instagram and YouTube. I see you all do all this human design stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm busted. Oh my God, this is terrible. You know, and then he's like, would you do my body graph? I'm like, sure. And, you know, he's a manifester. I didn't know for 7 years, you know, I didn't ask him. It was just like, but it's hard to do that. Well, so let's look a little bit at, hold on a second. If we go back to the screen share here, let's see where I am with it. Oh, I somehow lost it. Okay, one second here. So the business model canvas might be a cool thing just to look at, and then we can kind of talk about it in the. Now, do you have a name for your magazine yet? Is that something you're?
It's
Are you
just Human Design Magazine.
Human Design Magazine? Okay, great. Human Design Magazine. I'm going to see if there's a business model canvas generator. There used to be, and that way we could actually fill it out and just do it together, kind of for fun. Oh, they have it
Oh
on
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Canva. They have a few. Okay, they have. There's a bunch of them. Free online tools for business model canvas. Cool. All right, let's try it out here. This will be fun. Yeah, and thank you for. I guess I didn't really ask you if you're okay being the guinea pig for today, but I'm glad that you seem to be willing to go into it, because really this is just a chance for us to share the business we're working on and kind of things that we're doing.
Yeah.
So okay, here we go. Great. Okay, Human Design Magazine. Yeah, and I'd love to submit once you get off the ground. I don't know if you'll be accepting submissions or how
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna.
for sure. Let's
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, well, just as it develops, keep me in the loop, and I'd be happy to send out emails to HDHD speakers and things like that to get people. I mean, you may already have a ton of content. I don't know
Yeah,
your level
definitely.
of it, but
Yeah, outreach is my big.
Is your big? I missed the part of that. Sorry.
more contacts, right?
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah. Well, that's part of. I
I was
mean,
just
part of
saying
the.
outreach
Yeah.
is yeah.
Sorry, it just kind of got. Yeah, it could be my internet. I'm here in Santa Fe, where the internet's not always
You are
the easiest.
you're flickering in and out sometime, just
Yeah, I don't know
FYI.
what's going
It's
on. I
okay now
really.
though.
It could be. It could be somebody else is like downloading something on my internet or. Yeah, it's annoying because it's usually fine. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to change to my router really quick and see if this other one's any better. One second. I'll just give it a second. Okay, I don't know if that's any better. Maybe that was worse. Uh-oh. That may have made it worse. Okay. Well, I don't know. That could have made it worse. Sorry, I
Yeah,
think I
you
lost.
froze
I
up.
lost all of you for a minute there, but maybe this other router might be a little better now. I'm not
Maybe
really
I
sure
can
what's
turn
going on.
off my camera. Maybe that'll help.
Oh no, I mean whatever. It's not a big deal. Usually it's fine. It's honestly just Santa Fe is experiencing 2027 a little bit early. Put it that way. Okay, so here, but if you can at least see the my screen, then I'm showing this is. Let me just kind of add. Let me just get rid of these. Yeah, here we go. Create our own. What? Here we go. Perfect. Human Design Magazine. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. Get out of here. Sorry, this website may have been a bad idea. I thought it would be a little bit of a better idea than it really is. There we go. I don't know. I don't want to sign up. Well, I guess when this website's not really working very well, but oh, there we go. It's letting me do things. Okay, so let's just start with your value proposition. If we had to summarize what your magazine is, I mean, would it be something like learn human design? Is it educational oriented, or is it more like the only magazine for human design professionals? Probably not, right? You're aimed more at newcomers to human design. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Sorry. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah, sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so my vision right now is for it to serve across the journey, right? Wherever you are in your experiment.
Okay.
That may be, I know that sounds broad. I think there is a way to
No,
do it,
no.
but
Well,
yeah,
that's totally fine. I mean, you're going to get a different group of people when
yeah.
from doing that, but I mean, because you're going to get people that are, which is great though. I mean, we need, you know, it makes sense eventually, maybe in a few years, maybe in a decade, to have a human design professional magazine that's for industry
Yeah,
insiders.
exactly.
But it
Because this
also makes
the
sense to
first
have a
one,
survey of everything that's happening in human design, which would be almost like a variety for human design, or there's a room for many different niches, and I think even if it sounds broad, it actually is a niche because if you're going after people that are at all different levels of their experiment, that's its own niche. That is literally a niche. Like we shouldn't think of that as like not narrowed down enough. That is narrowed down because that's excluding a more focused human design professional orientation or people who are into gene keys or people who are into, I mean, unless it's going to be human design and gene keys, which I have no judgment. I do gene keys a lot, actually. I just don't talk about it much because a lot of other people don't, have their own judgment. But
yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaway right now is that it's curated. So
okay.
these are, the leading voices, or it
Okay.
could even be like up and coming, but they need some amplification.
Well, let's
So
say
it's,
leading and up
yeah,
and coming voices in human design.
yeah.
Or I can even say something like the only magazine for to or the yeah something like that for leading. I mean, so this can be something that you can kind of work on each week. What's going on? I'll just go ahead and sign up. This is like bullying me into doing this. It didn't save my there we go. I'll just This is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
You know what? I'm just going
I'm
to
not
use
gonna make you do
Canva.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly just going to use Canva. This sucks. Let me just create a new, here we go. I think they even have a business model canvas template. Business model whiteboard. I wonder if this is it. Here we go. Business model canvas. Great. Okay. So there's all different, let's get rid of all that stuff. Great. Okay. This is exactly what I was looking for. So, and you can play around with this. Maybe if you find a really good source for this, you can share it with the group because obviously I have not yet found one. So, okay, we started with the value proposition, and I'll say the only magazine or for leading and up and coming voices in human design. And you can work on that. I'm saying the only one because there's not. I mean, being the first, being the only. These are kind of like buzzy ways to promote. I mean, you could just say,
Well, I do have the 2551, so
okay, good. So you are the first. Yeah, the first and only magazine. But you can also say the magazine for leading and up and coming voices in human design. And then you can do alternates. We were always practicing alternates. Basically, in Techstars, they have you come up with a value prop, and then each week you have to kind of revise it. So week after week, you're always pitching it, and you have a one sentence version, you have a one paragraph version, and then you have like a slightly longer, kind of detailed business plan where you discuss it. But the one sentence was the main one, and they love to be like, what does your business do? And you just had to answer. You had to have it on the tip of your tongue. Like you couldn't be like, well, we're doing. You're just like the only magazine for up and coming and leading voices in human design. And they're like, okay, cool, okay, But it's just kind of like on the tip of your tongue, like just ready to go. It's just kind of to quick draw with the value prop, and that's something that you can kind of practice tweaking it and adjusting it. So, and then who is this for? That's the customer segment. So we've already said people at all levels of their experiment in human design. So people that have been in it for 25 years, people that have been in it for 2 days. Like you're kind of going, and that is a niche. This is a niche. Like it's not that that's too broad. That's totally a niche. What we would want to go even further though, so some of the nice ways that we can detail customer segments. What are their favorite websites? Where do they currently, what other magazines do they read? Are
yeah,
these
so
Gaia
psychographic kind of
users?
thing.
Do they
Yeah,
watch Gaia TV, Gaia.com? I mean, is that kind of like, or are they, I don't know what, I mean, are they Reddit users? It's a pretty different group, right? But I would say like Gaia, maybe, I don't know. I mean, do you have any ideas on this? Is
yeah, like
Gaia.com,
yeah, Gaia.
do they have human design stuff on here? I never really checked
I think
much.
Richard Rudd might have been.
But see, that's going to be more gene keys. Oh yeah, here we go. Gene keys and human design. Here's some human design. Here's a little human design. Now, is this? Oh, Dirk, he's awesome. Okay, and Rudd's great. So these are. Is this too broad, or is this like the kind
No,
of people you'd
I'm
be
feeling
interested
like
in?
that's perfect. Yeah,
Okay, this is perfect. Okay, good. I'm glad we got that. Okay,
yeah, like
so
they
I
see
will
it on
say,
Gaia and they're like, oh, where do I go next? You know?
yeah, yeah, okay. Users, or I'll say readers, viewers of Gaia.com, Gaia TV. I know they have a Gaia TV. Yeah, what else? I mean, we can kind of think.
Yeah, other networks like there's the Shift Network.
Okay, Shift Network,
Yeah,
users of
there's
Shift
what's
Network.
that? Gwyneth Paltrow's thing.
With
Goop. Yeah,
what's it called? Scoop?
Goop.
GOOP?
OOP, and all lowercase letters.
Ah, Goop users. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. So this would just be like
Magazine.
a start of the idea of like the kind of people there. So the first thing is just to kind of when we're looking for product market fit, it's the question: Do these people do these people want this value prop? And then practicing coming up with alternates for the value proposition that might, like you can say that, so the magazine, it sounds great, it's a magazine, but you could say the only source for leading and up and coming voices in human design. I mean, it could be another way to put it because it is a magazine, but maybe you're having audio visual. I mean, I think the magazine thing seems pretty solid though. Probably should be a part of it because you are kind of saying this is not a blog. It's not, it's not a newsletter. It's not an email newsletter. It's not a blog. It's an actual like laid out magazine, but it is a digital magazine. So I could say the digital magazine for human design. What do we call them? I mean, not analysts because it's people who are into it. For not researchers.
Experimenters. Or
For what?
I don't know
What's
what
yours?
kind of verbiage you'd use there because experimenters is you're
Yeah, for
already
human
in
design
it.
experimenters of all levels. Yeah. So these are a couple ways I'm kind of writing it out. I'm like, we have the magazine for leading and up and coming voices in human design, the only source for leading and up and coming voices in human design, the digital magazine for human design experimenters of all levels. And then here we have people at all levels of their experiment in human design. Um, they're already interested in it, so they're interested in human design. So interested, or learning about human design. They are potentially readers, viewers of Gaia.com, and or users of Shift Network, and or Goop users. And you can add more to this, and then over time you can narrow down. I usually just kind of start with a big net and then start to narrow down. Now you don't have to, but you can find your top 10 users, which would be like the 10 people that would be really sad if your magazine went away. And they say that finding those 10 people, and then that's actually harder. It's like everyone's thinking of their 1,000 users, they don't think of their 10. Who are the dream team of 10 users? And what is their general age range? What is, like, are this going to be, is it 30 plus? I mean, it's probably not that many people in their 20s, or it could be, but if it's very different to make a magazine for people in their 20s than in their 30s, I mean, there's going to be a different consideration. So 30, is it 30 to 45? Is it 30 to 50? Is it just 30
Yeah,
plus?
more like 30 to 50.
30 to 50, so age 30 to 50. Now, there could be gender skew. You don't have to put that in, but this is just reality. We're not being squeamish about it. The fact of the matter is, there are certain demographics that are interested in different things. Like when I was looking at Gene Keys in Seattle, it was all very wealthy. It was pretty evenly split between men and women. It was compared to human design, which seems to skew more female.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to mince words here. I've
Yeah,
been
no,
like,
yeah, I didn't think
I
so.
did this
So
brainstorming myself. I'm like, oh, do I need to be? No, you don't need to be
no,
politically.
no, no, no. But I mean, but I'm just saying, like, this is, putting on our business hats. Like, who are the
Yeah, yeah.
kind of dream? Now, do they make a certain amount of money? Is it people that make like 80,000 plus income, or I mean, I don't know. I
No.
mean, if they have enough money to kind of buy a magazine subscription, that I imagine. See, this will also
Right. They
help
would be
inform.
spending a lot more on like training or,
Yeah, there
yeah,
exactly. And I kind of, when I think of a specialty magazine, it's kind of like the smaller group of people into it, the more you have to charge. Like I could see this
yeah.
magazine costing $30 an issue. I'm not even joking. Like
Well,
there
that's
are
literally
magazines.
the amount I was, that's literally the amount I
Yeah,
was thinking at
that's
this
about
moment.
what I would think too. That's what I would assume. Because again, if you're making something that has a million people who are going to be into it, you can charge $8. But if you're or $12, but if you're making something that has maybe 20,000 people seriously into it worldwide, and then like another 100,000 who are aware of it, that's a fairly small customer segment overall, where you're going to want to kind of make sure that it's sustainable for you. And that would be, so I would say, they make probably 80,000, or I don't know. I mean, I'll add the $30 price point to the value prop. I can share this with you after, and you can
Yeah,
use it.
yeah.
So edit as much as you want. The best $30 you will spend on learning the state of human design, or you could even call it like the only source for the cutting edge state of human design knowledge.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm leaning more into that is what's the current state, the cutting edge of human
Yeah,
design
yeah.
because it is
These are a couple other
evolving,
ways
right?
to. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
this is it's helpful as we start to kind of iterate on it. You can see that we already start to kind of massage the value prop a little, and this can help your marketing language. This can help how you talk about it to potential writers, but potential partners. Okay, well you could say skews. Oops, this probably is going to skew slightly female. I mean,
Yeah, so as
Gene
far
Keys
as I
has a
can
lot of
tell,
male users, actually, interestingly, but I
oh,
guess
does it?
even,
I've never
well,
looked into
I
that.
was kind of surprised because I figured it would be like human design, but I used to go to Gene Keys events in Seattle, and it was pretty equal distribution, maybe like 60-40, but there were definitely a lot of guys into it. It was a lot of, Gene Keys was a lot of like tech, crypto, startup people. And they were
Mm.
not interested in human design. They were very interested in Gene Keys. So for whatever reason, Gene Keys kind of saturated that market. Now, something you might also consider, and I mean, this,
So, Jonah, I'm
yeah.
trained as a computational linguist. This is so validating for me because I thought I was a complete kook for going this way. But anyway, just
Well, this is how I approach things. But I was an entrepreneur. I still am an entrepreneur, I guess. I'm doing signposts, but I was more of a tech startup entrepreneur. I co-founded a company called Skilljar back in 2013, and we raised a seed round of 130,000. We raised an A round of 1.2 million, a B round of another couple million. I mean, it was small, but a small focused startup, kind of focused in the B2B education space, is what I was doing then. But that was a quite a time ago. But in any case, this is kind of how I just approach things. I just like to kind of get, let's get some let's narrow it down, and then if something changes, you can change it. It's no big deal, but just like starting somewhere, starting with, so skewing, maybe mostly women, we could say. Now, the one thing that I would ask, though, to consider is consider the relationship of human design and gene keys. And if this is going to be, the niche is human design, then you're kind of alienating some gene keys people. But if you include gene keys, you're alienating some human design people. So you're going to alienate people either way. And you just kind of have to make that decision for yourself. With Signpost, we had the option of including more gene keys, and I was kind of against it because I just don't know it as well. But at the same time, I'm not against people presenting gene keys on Signpost. And the same with HDHD, with the conference I put on, we haven't had any gene keys people yet. But if somebody did apply and they said, hey, I really want to present on gene keys, and I think I have something really interesting to say. Now, I probably will do more gene keys content in the future. I'm a big fan of Richard Rudd personally. I really enjoy him. We have a lot of mutual friends. I mean, I think he's a really cool guy. I like listening to him. I love hearing his takes on the gates, all that stuff. I just didn't in making High Desert Human Design, I wasn't like the world's leading conference for human design and gene keys. I was just like the world's leading conference for human design. For making Signposts,
At
I
this
wasn't like
point,
the
human
only
design would
service.
kind of
Yeah.
imply gene keys to some extent, right? At this point, just practically speaking.
That if you say human design, it's including it, or I missed that part. What is it?
Right. Well, for at this point, it's my impression that for any human design space, like there's someone is going to work in gene keys or someone's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
incorporated.
absolutely. And so you might do an interview with Richard Rudd in your magazine, and it's
Yeah.
still the world's
Like
leading
he,
magazine
yeah.
for human
Yeah.
design professionals. But I'm just saying it is a little bit different than if you said the world's leading magazine for human design and gene keys. Like
Yeah.
it depends. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
that
disagreeing.
doesn't feel correct. No.
Well, it doesn't feel right for me either for everything I've done. I've just made it just about human design. But at the same time, I guess I just wanted to kind of point out you may cast a wider net by incorporating gene keys, but at the same time, you may also set wrong expectations if you really are just. And there's a little bit of a, it's almost like a flex or like a credibility thing to just make it about human design. And like, yeah, you could interview Richard Rudd, you could interview anyone in Gene Keys, but the fact that they're coming to a human design magazine is a different scenario than it's a Gene Keys magazine, right? So I think I'm with you on that. And I think even just from a perception perspective, that having that kind of stake in the ground of like, yeah, we're doing human design. This is the cutting edge of human design. We also see what the Gene Keys people are up to because guess what? They're studying the same kind of stuff we are. So, that to me makes perfect sense. I guess I'm just kind of like saying like, just to kind of so I'll say could be into gene keys, but not the focus. Maybe as a note,
Yeah. Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
be, and you might end up doing promotional materials where you say, for people who are into gene keys and human design, check out the Human Design magazine. It is the great source for human design, kind of surveying the landscape of cutting edge human design knowledge and interviews. And you could say for people who are interested in gene keys and human design, so that you're going to get some of that as a funnel, but you're not going to be. It's not going to be the same as if somebody came out with like the Gene Keys magazine, right? That
Yeah.
would be a
It's not
different
going to
thing.
set that
So.
expectation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sure.
Okay, so let's look at a few other things here. We can always return to these later. Are there any key partners that this could be like Human Design America, IHDS, this could be Richard Rudd's organization if you wanted him to start sending key partners are people that these could be your dream key partners. I mean, High Desert Human Design could be a key partner. Signpost could be a key
Yeah.
partner. We could,
Yeah.
but I mean, but I don't want to impose that on you. Are there any key partners that you can think of off the top of your head? And if not, that's okay too. This is something you can kind of come
Well,
back to.
everyone and anyone.
Okay, so everyone that wants to help, well, then I'll just start including the ones I can think of. So IHDS could be a key partner, Human Design America, Richard Rudd, Gene Keys. I'll just go ahead and put High Desert Human Design. What about Karen Curry Parker? Have you connected much with her? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
people.
So
Okay,
I'll
Parker.
be at the conference that's right before
Oh,
HDHG
yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
and so we'll. We have a few other HD speakers there. I know
Yeah.
Adrian Roach was there
And
last year. I think this year Richard and Brandy are going
Richard
to be
and
there.
Brandy are going to be at both,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And then yeah, this is great. I'm so excited. So you're gonna be meeting lots of great people. QHD. Let's see, anyone else we can. So this is something you can keep adding to this list, but then you can, cast a big net and then narrow down, right? So cast the
Yeah.
net, and then after time, you're like, actually, Gene Keys isn't really much of a key partner because they kind of want a different thing. They're not really as interested in the human design side. Who knows, right? Or maybe they're a super good partner who are sending you stuff all the time. But when you think of key partners, you think of like, okay, instead of putting thousands of dollars into Google Ads, I could just put some extra money into if there well, so I guess that this is a question. I was putting digital magazine. Is there going to be a print form as well, or is this
I
entirely
don't have, no, I don't have
okay? So
me.
this will be PDF. So it actually is not going to cost
No,
you much.
it's not PDF
What?
actually.
So what
So
is it? What's the format going to be?
it is an actual app. So I'm working with a company
Oh,
to
okay. Very
develop
cool.
that.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So it'll
yeah,
be a subscription app. Okay, well that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's a great way to do it. I've worked in digital publishing for years, and we used to make white label apps like that, and we've had a number of subscription apps for different people. We've helped them do it. It's a great way to get content. If you ever need, I guess you have somebody handling it, but if you ever need advice on ebook reading, usually behind the scenes in the app, they either use
Uh,
EPUB or PDF or some format internally. Even though the user can't download that file, there's something, or a web page, but there's something, right? There's got to be some way. And I have a lot of experience in open source, ebook reading software. I was a contributor for the Readium Foundation, which is kind of one of the world's top ebook reading apps that's free and open source and you can incorporate into your but because you're going to want being in an app you're going to want things like bookmarking and search, even search across issues possibly. You're going to want there's a lot of things that you might not consider just building an ebook reader that eventually like easy ways to navigate, easy table of contents navigation, all sorts of stuff.
um,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot that goes into it, and that was about 9 years of my life. So I definitely want to make
Well, we'll
myself
have to,
available as a resource
yeah,
if you
we'll
guys
have
ever
to
want to
talk
talk about
about
that.
that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so key partners, you can kind of keep thinking about who those partners are, but the good news is being an app, you can comp a certain number of free subscriptions to some of these orgs. And you can be like, hey, Karen, here's 10 free subscriptions, one for you and whoever you want to share them with, promo codes, whatever. And as an act of goodwill, I would love, as my way of saying thank you for helping me out in this venture. And then, she'll be like, oh, it's great. We're partners. So
Yeah.
key partners, I mean, that was one of the most exciting things for me when I was learning business was like, we were, I didn't really realize how easy it was. I just didn't realize how business worked. That you can just get on the phone with someone and be like, "Hey, I will just give you all this stuff." And they're like, "Really? Well, I can give you all this." And we're like, "We each have things we can give each other." That's incredible. It's very, very win-win. So it was exciting to me learning business, like just how easy that was.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
well,
that's the idea, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah,
interject, but
yeah.
it is a media property. That's the idea is we're partnering with whoever it might be, with the contributors, with uh, other promotional partners who aren't necessarily contributors, but they can still get the word out. They've got their people, and yeah, you have X number of free subscriptions for their people, and you work out revenue sharing, all of that good stuff. So
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I added Chetan Parkin.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
probably others. You can just fill out this list, but I mean, I'm a little bit out of the loop on what's going on in HD world, but you can, I would just fill out the list of who your partners might be and who are the people that are going to be kind of key players in
yeah,
this. Okay, well, let's do about 10 more minutes because I do want to give people a short break if they want to rejoin for Human Design Catalyst. But
yeah.
key activities. What are some of the main activities? I mean, we already talked about outreach, interfacing with stakeholders and talent.
Hmm.
Yeah, writers, voices in HD. What are some other key activities?
Yeah, so there have to be advertisers, right, in the
Hmm.
magazine. So I would say research.
Yeah, advertising. Well,
Marketers.
yeah, research. Okay, research, connecting with advertisers. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the editorial, like putting the whole thing together? I guess curation, but what is that
Yeah.
involved? Selection, review of
Yeah.
submissions.
Yeah. I mean, I was rolling that into outreach, just
Kind of,
research.
but it's a little bit different because outreach is like, hey, I want to do an informational interview and what you tell me about this, and let's like almost like recruiting new talent. Whereas like once they send you a bunch of stuff, you're gonna have like 50, essays to review, and are you gonna edit them? Are you gonna take them as is? Is it gonna be yes, no? I mean, at the very least, but I mean, yeah, I guess that could be. We could say, but yeah, curation, selection, connecting with
Yeah,
advertisers. Outreach is kind of connecting with advertisers too, but it's just good to have. And you can reword all these, narrow them down.
yeah, yeah,
Over time, it'll kind of take shape of like these are the key activities. Like the day-to-day activities involve communication, review of submissions, review. Now, are you going to be the designer? Are there designers on your team? I mean,
yeah. So the company I'm working with, like they do have designers,
great,
so
great. So
that's
they'll be
extra on
designing
that.
the app, and then
Yeah,
the actual, but the ongoing magazine as well, right? Is going to have
yeah,
certain layout components as well. So
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be his whole brand identity thing, right? I'm not a graphic designer. I think that's what they call it, but it does. Yeah, I think that's what
okay,
they call it, brand identity, right?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, okay. Design and brand identity, and we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, these might not be every day. Brand identity might be like you do it for like three
Oh yeah,
months,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then you have
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I mean, this is like what do you have to do to keep it running every day? But at
Okay,
least
yeah, yeah,
in the beginning, it's going to be there'll be some design component, there'll be some curation component, choosing what to put in the magazine, editorial. I'll just say design, brand, editorial. You can revise this over time. I mean, this is just kind of very high level, just throwing things at the wall right now. Now, what are the key resources that you have? And this is an interesting one because this could be people, this could be things that you have access to, nobody else has access to. Like, I guess over time, the resources will actually be the past issues of the magazine because you can draw
yeah,
from those for promotional materials.
yeah.
So, but right now, before you've accumulated that, I think it would probably be mostly human resources, but I don't know. I mean, what are you?
Yeah, that's my feel as well. And I've got like my spreadsheets, and I don't know if you count that.
Yeah, no, it is anything spreadsheets and research,
Yeah, in my
research,
personal network. Yeah,
personal network of contacts. Yeah, and then over time you can add to it. Like when we started Signpost, all we really had was like what were our resources? We're like connections through HDHD. Well, now we have a huge audio library, a huge video library. Like these are resources we've now accumulated. And so now it's like, how do we promote? Oh, well, we can edit from older sessions and put something together from that, or who knows. So, but yeah, it's just kind of thinking. I mean, because again, this is such a general business model canvas. They apparently have some order we're supposed to go in. I did not go in that order at all. I'm seeing all these numbers. I've never gone in order. I don't know what this order thing is they're talking about. Okay, customer relationships. How do you customer relationship is different than how you reach the customer. That's more like channels or sales funnels. Customer relationships is how you communicate with them and how you interact with them. So one would be delivering new digital magazine. How often are you going to deliver it, do you think, for now? Is it
right now I'm planning like a quarterly,
quarterly?
and
Okay.
that could change.
So
Yeah,
I'll say, yeah, yeah, of course, but that's a great first step on it. And, delivering new digital magazine every 3 months. So that's one customer. Okay. Will there be contact in between? Will there be a newsletter where you give updates of, hey, the magazine's coming along, stay tuned, or here's a behind the scenes look at how it's coming together, or,
yeah, definitely stuff like that.
okay,
Like
email
joint,
newsletter.
yeah, email newsletter, like joint promotions, maybe something like that.
Okay.
There could be a podcast. I don't know.
I'll
I'm a
say
little
possible podcast. Yeah, there could also be maybe like live Q&As or open house kind of things where you do
yeah.
little, I'll say possible live Q&A where you just like talk about, I mean, what it's like putting this together and kind of just but like I'll say behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, and then there's other things you can think of. I mean, one thing we're thinking of doing on Signpost, which I would encourage others to do as well, and this would be kind of the perfect thing for your magazine, would be to host short digital summits where you would do like the Human Design Magazine Summit. And you're like, for this weekend, we have 8 guest speakers and we have 4 speakers a day, Saturday, Sunday. And honestly, I would just do it for free. I mean, you could charge some nominal fee also if you want. But for
Mhm.
Signpost, we're thinking of putting on a free Signpost Summit just to build awareness and people can see what we're doing and get some of our speakers to be promoted, what they're working on and things like that. And just kind of like a little mini digital conference that's online. Doesn't
Yeah.
really cost a lot, doesn't take a lot to organize. You just need to get some people who want to do it. And, you know, you need to have a good streaming service. You could do it on Zoom or something like, there's other ones out there that might be better suited for that kind of broadcasting, restream and stuff like that. But that's something we're thinking of doing on Signpost. And I think you could do, I'll say, possible online summit.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
you
I
know,
could sponsor an online summit.
that too. And we can also, yeah. Well, so that will be more for channels. And even this might be channel too. Customer, I mean, the difference between customer relationship and channel is almost like how do you reach new people? How do you reach them? So, like sponsorship, I'll add. Yeah, sponsorship, online summits, in person events, you know, things like that. But so that'll be one thing is like how do you reach them, and then the customer relationship is kind of ongoing. How do you like say you did a quarterly Human Design Magazine summit? That would be a way that in between the magazine they could join and you could have open Q&A where they're like, wow, I really loved this article and now I get to talk to the author of the article and
Yeah.
ask them what they meant when they said this, and, you know, stuff like that, kind of like. So that's the difference between a channel and a customer relationship, is just that the channel is kind of how do you reach them at the tip of the spear, and then the customer relationship is once you've reached them, how do you keep the conversation going. So maybe even joint promotion I'll put more in channel. And I guess podcast could be channel too. I'll put, yeah, because relationship is a little more interactive. So I'll say podcast. Yeah, and you can just keep adding to this. I mean, I guess old fashioned ways, advertising. You know, advertising could be whether paid or just in partnership with somebody. You know, you run ads for them and they run some ads for you in their newsletter or something like that. Okay, well, we'll have to wrap up because I do want to give people a little bit of time. I want to see if there's
Yeah, this was
any.
more than enough. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll share this with you. Thanks for allowing me to. Oh, okay. Last one, last two. Very easy. So, costs and revenue. Cost is what costs you money. So I will say digital software development costs. Right, working with a development team. Um, Probably advertising. Possibly. Oh, I guess content costs. Writers, content creators. Are you thinking of hiring a team? Is this kind of just you doing it
Yeah,
yourself
it's
first?
solo thing
So
right now.
solo. Okay, well, solo cost. Solopreneur paying paying yourself, something like that.
Yeah,
You know, that'll be part of the cost. I mean, your time is valuable. That's part of the
yeah,
cost. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
the cost is your time, and then revenue stream. It seems like subscription, primary, and then advertising is like a secondary revenue, possibly.
Yeah.
Right? Is that? But the subscription is kind of thought to be the primary way of getting the.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well, I will share this with you. That was super fun. I'm really glad we got to chat. I hope this was interesting for the others who joined. And
I guess I didn't
anyone.
mean to monopolize, so
Oh, no, no. I mean, quite the contrary. This is an open time for anyone to chat about anything. And I love that. I mean, honestly, this is such a great opportunity to just actually put in, because we've been looking at the business model canvas like just a few weeks ago. We looked at it, but we didn't really actually do it for anybody's company. So this was really cool to actually do it. So thank you for being open for that. And yeah, if you're still around and you have time tonight, we're going to be doing Human Design Catalyst in about 10 minutes. And then we have our weekly personality group. It's kind of a packed day today. This is our packed
yeah,
day. But
I'll
yeah,
be
so
around.
great. Well, then I will see you in 10 minutes. Really great
Okay.
connecting.
All right. See
Okay,
you soon.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.